The Sacred Heart was known for its discipline, holiness, and strict adherence to the vows of chastity and purity. Among the sisters, none shone brighter in the public eye than Sister Veronica. To the villagers, she was a model of virtue, a woman who prayed fervently, sang hymns with a voice like an angel, and always wore a serene smile. Mothers pointed her out to their daughters as an example of a true bride of Christ. But behind the cloistered walls, Sister Veronica carried a secret so dark it would shake the very foundation of the church if exposed. At night, when the convent lights went out and silence filled the corridors, Sister Veronica would slip out through the back gate, her rosary hidden deep inside her cloak. Beneath the long flowing habit was a woman addicted to forbidden desires. In the city, she was not Sister Veronica. She became Nkechi, a mysterious beauty who danced in dimly lit nightclubs, offering her body to wealthy men for a price. Her most shocking clients, however, were not ordinary men. They were the very reverend fathers who preached holiness by day. It began with Father Damien, the parish priest, a man admired for his fiery sermons. He was the first to notice Veronica's lingering glances during evening prayers. The whispers turned to secret confessions, then to candlelit meetings in his private chambers. Soon, other priests began to notice. Father Damien introduced her to a circle of clergy who lived double lives, holy at the altar, but slaves to lust in the shadows. Inside the rectory, where holy books and crucifixes adorned the walls, the sacred turned scandalous. The woman who was supposed to belong only to God was now shared in hushed agreements between men of the cloth. But sin never stays hidden forever. Within the convent, Sister Agnes, an older nun, began to suspect something unusual about Veronica. She noticed the faint smell of expensive perfume on her habit, the tiredness in her eyes each morning, and the bundles of cash tucked secretly under her mattress. Meanwhile, Father Damien's guilt began to eat at him. Each time he stood at the pulpit, looking at the congregation, he feared someone could see through him. His sermons grew weaker, his eyes restless, and his health failing. Still, Sister Veronica was unstoppable. The money, the secret power she had over men of God, and the thrill of living a forbidden life made her reckless. She didn't know she was being watched. One night, as she slipped back into the convent after another meeting, she found a note neatly placed under her pillow. The handwriting was sharp and deliberate. "I know what you are doing. If you don't stop, I will expose you." Her heart froze. Who could it be? Was it Sister Agnes? Was it one of the fathers regretting their sin? Or had someone outside the circle discovered her secret? For the first time, Sister Veronica felt real fear. The game of pleasure and secret power had now become a dangerous trap. After receiving the warning note, Sister Veronica should have stopped. Any other nun would have trembled and run to confession, begging God for forgiveness. But not her. Instead, she went further, as if daring the unknown writer to try and expose her. She became wild. By day, she recited her rosary with calm lips and bowed head, earning praises from the convent mother. By night, she became a creature of the world. The city nightclubs knew her well. Behind the flashing neon lights and booming music, she would appear in fitted dresses hidden under her cloak. The men who watched her dance had no idea she was a nun. They only saw a seductress with blazing eyes, puffing smoke from her lips as she leaned against the bar, swirling a glass of wine in her hand. Wealthy politicians, business moguls, and even foreign men desired her. They would fight for her attention, slipping wads of cash into her purse. For them, she was not just a woman, she was a mystery, a forbidden fruit with a fire they couldn't resist. In private suites of luxury hotels, Veronica sold herself without shame. Men had her in their beds, intoxicated by the thought of owning a woman who looked so pure on the outside yet burned so fiercely inside. One governor's aide even whispered after a night with her, "This one is no ordinary woman, she is possessed." Little did he know how right he was. But the real thrill for Sister Veronica was sneaking back into the convent before dawn. Her eyes bloodshot, her body still smelling of alcohol and smoke, she would wash herself quickly, change back into her habit, and slip into morning prayers. The other nuns admired her dedication, thinking she prayed late into the night. Only Sister Agnes, watching silently, noticed the signs, the shaky hands, the expensive wristwatches that suddenly appeared on Veronica's arm, the whispers of men's perfume hidden under the scent of incense. What made it worse was her continued affairs with the Reverend Fathers. Some nights, she would leave the club not with a politician or businessman, but with a priest who longed for her touch more than the Holy Communion he served. It was a dangerous circle. The Fathers feared her, yet they could not resist. She had a hold on them, and she knew it. But Sister Veronica didn't realize that her arrogance was drawing her closer to ruin. One rainy night, after leaving a club where she had danced with a rich oil magnate, Veronica sneaked back through the convent gate. As she tiptoed through the dark corridor, she froze. There, standing in the shadows, was Sister Agnes, her rosary in hand, eyes glinting with something between anger and pity. "Where are you coming from at this hour, Veronica?" Sister Agnes asked in a low but steady voice. For the first time, Veronica's heart skipped. She opened her mouth to lie, but before she could speak, Agnes whispered, "You are playing with fire, and fire does not hide for long." Veronica's blood ran cold. From that night onward, Sister Agnes became a thorn in Veronica's flesh. Each time Veronica sneaked back into the convent, she could feel Agnes's piercing eyes on her, heavy with suspicion. Agnes began dropping subtle questions during morning devotions. "Some of us seem very tired these days. Is it late-night prayers, or something else? The convent must remain pure, for the world is always watching." The words stung Veronica like poison. She knew Agnes was slowly building evidence against her. If nothing was done, her carefully built double life would collapse. Veronica decided, Sister Agnes must go. One evening, during a secret meeting with Father Damien, her first lover and trusted accomplice, she poured out her frustration. "Agnes has become too bold," Veronica whispered, her voice sharp with anger. "If she exposes me, everything will scatter. You, me, the others, we will all burn together." Father Damien trembled. "What do you want to do?" "We must silence her, but not with violence. We will set her up, disgrace her so that the convent mother dismisses her. After that, she will have no voice." Veronica reached out to one of her wealthy friends from the city, a sly businessman named Chief Okafor, known for his appetite for women despite his gray hairs. She trusted him because he had tasted her body many times, and she knew he would do anything for her. She explained the plan to him: pretend to be a generous man who wants to donate millions to the parish. But you must demand that Sister Agnes handles the donation privately. Then, we will arrange for you two to be found in a compromising position. Chief Okafor chuckled, licking his lips. "You are more dangerous than any woman I know, Veronica. This Agnes of yours will regret the day she was born." A week later, Chief Okafor arrived at St. Mary's Parish in his black SUV, wearing a starched white kaftan and a cap that screamed wealth. The priests welcomed him warmly. "I want to give something back to God," he said in a deep voice. "But I want Sister Agnes to be the one to handle it. I have heard of her honesty." The parish mother was pleased and called Agnes. Innocently, she agreed to meet Chief Okafor in the rectory office that evening to discuss the donation. What she didn't know was that Father Damien and Veronica had already bribed one of the altar boys to, accidentally, walk into the office at the right time. That evening, as rain beat down on the parish roof, Agnes sat nervously in the office with Chief Okafor. He leaned too close, his cologne choking the air, his words sticky. "My dear sister," he whispered, sliding an envelope of cash across the table, "you are too beautiful for this lonely life. What if I make you my queen instead of giving this to the parish?" Agnes gasped and rose to her feet. "What nonsense. Take your money away. I am a bride of Christ." But before she could storm out, Chief Okafor grabbed her wrist, and at that very moment, the altar boy barged in, eyes widening in false shock. He ran off shouting, "I saw Sister Agnes with a man. I saw her with my own eyes." Veronica, hiding in the corridor, smiled in triumph. The trap had been sprung. The trap worked perfectly. The altar boy's testimony spread like wildfire through the convent. Whispers filled the corridors, and by the next morning, the convent mother summoned Sister Agnes. She tried to defend herself, her voice trembling with desperation. "Mother, I swear before God, I was set up. I have never defiled my vows." But the convent mother, stern and unyielding, slammed her hand on the table. "Enough. A stain like this cannot be allowed to remain in St. Mary's. Sister Agnes, you are dismissed. Gather your things and leave at once." Agnes's eyes welled with tears as she was escorted out. She glanced once at Veronica, who stood in the corner with her hands folded piously, pretending to pray. Their eyes met, and in that instant, Agnes knew the truth. But her voice was silenced. With Agnes gone, Veronica's confidence swelled. She was free, untouchable, and more reckless than ever. The clubs saw her more often. She smoked, drank, and indulged in men of wealth and power. Some nights she entertained 2 or 3 different men, each competing to outspend the other. Her purse overflowed with money. Gold necklaces, new shoes, and silk lingerie were hidden under her habit. She laughed at the irony. The world saw her as a saint, while inside she was living like a queen of lust. One night, at an exclusive club in Lagos, Veronica was introduced to a foreigner, a tall white man with piercing blue eyes and a calm smile. His name was Mr. Scott, a businessman rumored to deal in oil contracts. He watched her dance, and when she returned to her table, he leaned close. "You are unlike any woman I've met in this country. One night with you, and I'll give you $20,000. Veronica froze, her glass of wine trembling in her hand. $20,000. No man had ever offered her such money for a single night. Greed and curiosity overcame her. "Where do we go?" she whispered. Mr. Scott smiled. "To my home. A place where you will never forget what happens tonight." She followed him into his sleek black car, her heart pounding with excitement at the thought of the money. The ride was smooth, and the city lights blurred as they drove into a secluded part of town. His mansion was enormous, surrounded by high fences and guarded gates. Inside, the air smelled of foreign perfumes, but something about the silence felt eerie. "Make yourself comfortable, Mr. Scott said softly, locking the door behind them. He poured her a drink, his eyes never leaving her. Veronica's excitement slowly turned into unease. The house was too quiet, too cold. No servants, no noise, just the echo of her own heartbeat. She clutched her purse where she imagined the $20,000 would soon be. But in the shadows of that foreign man's mansion, something darker was waiting, something that would change the course of her wild life forever. Inside the massive mansion, Veronica sipped the wine Mr. Scott offered, her heart pounding with greed. She was already imagining the crisp dollar notes that would soon fill her purse. Then his voice cut through the silence. "Now, undress. Get ready to do your job." Veronica smiled, thinking it was the usual game. Slowly, she pulled off her habit, her gown slipping to the floor. Her body gleamed under the dim lights, and she tossed her hair back with pride. "I am ready," she whispered. But Mr. Scott's expression did not change. He walked away into another room. When he returned, he was no longer smiling. His eyes were cold, his tone like ice. "Tonight, you will not be with me. You will lay with my dogs." The words struck her like thunder. Veronica's smile vanished. She blinked, confused. "What? Are you joking?" she stammered, her voice shaky. But the man only whistled, and 2 massive dogs barked from behind the door, chains rattling as they pulled forward. "Lay with them, Mr. Scott ordered. That is the only way you'll earn your money." Veronica's face twisted in shock and disgust. She shook her head violently, grabbing her clothes. "You must be mad. I am not doing this. Let me out of here." She ran toward the door, only for 2 hefty-bodied men to appear from the shadows, blocking her path. Their faces were stone, their arms like iron. Veronica's knees weakened. The dogs barked louder, their eyes glowing under the dim light. She screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the silence of the mansion. Tears blurred her eyes as the reality sank in. There was no escape. Mr. Scott sat calmly on a leather chair, watching her like prey. "Do it," he said coldly, "or we will make it worse for you." Broken, trembling, and crushed by fear, Veronica gave in. She lay down, her body shivering as the men unchained the beasts. The shame, the horror, the unimaginable filth of that night burned into her soul forever. She wished for death. The next time Veronica opened her eyes, the world was spinning. She was lying on the cold ground, half naked, right in front of St. Mary's convent gate. The morning sun was rising, and a crowd had already gathered, passerby, market women, schoolchildren, all pointing and murmuring. "Jesus, is that not Sister Veronica? God forbid. What happened to her? Naked like this, in front of the convent." Some covered their mouths in shock, others cursed. Then came the worst blow. Several reverend sisters and reverend fathers rushed out to see the commotion. Their eyes widened as they recognized her. The same Veronica they had praised as holy, now sprawled on the ground in disgrace, her body exposed, her rosary tangled around her wrist like a mockery. Gasps and murmurs filled the air. "This is an abomination. What shame she has brought upon the church." Veronica tried to rise, but her strength failed. She covered her face in tears as the reality of her destruction dawned on her. The shameful scene at the convent gate drew a thick crowd. Murmurs spread like wildfire. "Sister Veronica, half naked. God have mercy." The convent mother pushed through the onlookers, her face ashen with disbelief. Behind her came the priests, robes fluttering, and the sisters, clutching their rosaries with trembling hands. "Cover her," the Mother Superior barked. A nun rushed forward and threw a cloth around Veronica's body. But the stain had already spread, her image of holiness shattered in public. Veronica broke down, sobbing bitterly. She clutched the hem of the convent mother's gown and wailed, "Please, forgive me. I have sinned against God, against the church, against everyone." The convent mother's voice was cold. "What have you done, Veronica?" And like a flood, Veronica poured out everything. She confessed to the nights in the club, to smoking, drinking, and sleeping with rich men and priests. She pointed to Father Damien. "He's one of them that I have been sleeping with." Gasps rose from the crowd. She admitted to the unthinkable shame with the white man. Then, with trembling lips, she confessed the deepest wound of all. "I set up Sister Agnes. She was innocent. I framed her so she would be dismissed and not expose me. Forgive me, please. I destroyed her because of my wickedness." The crowd erupted in shock. Some wept, others spat on the ground. Finally, with shaking shoulders, Veronica whispered the truth she had buried for years. "Being a reverend sister was never my choice. My parents forced me into this life, but my heart never belonged here. I only wanted freedom, and it destroyed me." The convent mother's eyes were heavy with sorrow, yet her voice thundered like judgment. "Veronica, Damien, you have both mocked the holy vows. You have defiled the habit. You have dragged the name of the church into shame before men. You are no longer worthy to remain among us." "No, Mother, please," Veronica begged, clutching at her feet. But the sisters pulled her away gently, their eyes wet with tears yet firm in resolve. "You are both cast out," the convent mother declared. "Go and seek mercy from God in the world you so desired." And just like that, Veronica's chapter at St. Mary's ended. She was stripped of her habit, her rosary taken, and she was led away from the convent gates, not as Sister Veronica, but as a broken woman named Nkechi. Days later, the convent mother summoned Sister Agnes back. Before the gathered priests, sisters, and townspeople, she spoke with humility. "We wronged you, Agnes. We believed a lie and cast you out unjustly. Today, we apologize with all our hearts. Will you return to St. Mary's?" Agnes, with tears streaming down her face, nodded. "I forgive you all. My vow is to Christ, not to man." I will serve him until my last breath. The sisters embraced her, and the church bells rang as Agnes was restored to her rightful place. The people rejoiced, for truth had triumphed over lies. As the sun set over Umuahia, one story ended in disgrace, and another in restoration. Veronica, once the pride of the convent, walked the dusty roads in shame, her name forever stained. But Sister Agnes, the one cast out wrongly, returned purified, her honor brighter than ever. The end. Thanks for watching. Kindly subscribe and turn on your notification button to be the first to be notified when next we upload a new video. See you in my next video. Bye.